Andre, welcome to class. Can you hear and see okay? Hi everyone, welcome to class. Can you all hear and see me okay?
Yes, hi.
Yes. Hi Mauricio, how are you doing?
Fine, thanks.
Sorry?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
Awesome. Andre? All right, can you?
Yes,
Hi.
I hear you. Hi.
Good. How do you say your name? Andre?
Andre? Yes,
Andre.
that's
Cool.
perfect.
Awesome. Where are you from?
I'm from Russia.
Russia. Cool. Awesome. So welcome to class. So I think we've got some more students this class, but we'll go ahead and get started. So today's class is about phrasal verbs. So phrasal verbs are very hard for English students, and I give one of these classes about once a week on different phrasal verbs. So today's phrasal verb class is about the verbs pull and hold. So the way that this works, pull and hold. So phrasal verbs are verbs that combine a base verb, in this case pull or hold, with prepositions or other words in English, and they end up having completely different meanings than the original verb. So today we're going to go through 10 different verb phrases that have different meanings that are really specific to a combination of a preposition and the verb. So like to hold out, to hold on, things that may look really similar but actually have different meanings. So that's what a phrasal verb is. And the way that this class works is we're going to go through different examples of seeing these phrasal verbs in context. So we're going to talk about them a little bit, try to guess what they mean based on the paragraphs we read. And then what I'm going to do is write the actual definition of the phrasal verb in the chat box. So make sure both of you have access to the chat box. So I do it this way so that if you want to copy and paste, keep a document of your own of what these different phrasal verbs mean, you can easily do that from the chat box. Okay? So we're going to go through examples, read them together, talk about a little bit what they mean, and then at the very end of class, I've got a little quiz for you guys to see if you remember all of the different definitions for the different verbs. Okay, sound good? You can get started. So the first one, we're going to start with the verb hold. We're going to start with the ones with hold, and then we're going to go on to pull. So the first one I've got is hold against. What it means to hold against. So Fabricio, could you read the first paragraph?
Okay, let's practice hold against. I know you're angry that the police officer gave you a ticket, but don't hold it against him. He was just doing his job. It's nothing personal.
Okay, that should be ticket. Sorry about that. Ticket. So hold it against him. So don't hold it against him. Based on this context, do you have any idea what it could mean to hold something against someone? If not, it's fine.
It means that you don't have to get angry with somebody because that somebody didn't do something on purpose.
Exactly, perfect. Good. So Andre, could you read the second paragraph?
Craig said some really mean things to me on Saturday night. He was under a lot of stress, though, so I guessed I really shouldn't hold it against him.
Good. So I guess I really shouldn't hold it against someone. Yeah, so the definition for this, I'm going to put in the chat box. To hold something against someone is, or to hold a grudge, is to stay angry at someone for a long time because of something they did in the past, or to just blame someone for something and stay angry at them, to hold it against them. So, Andre, could you think of an example of hold against? Have you ever held something against someone? Have you ever stayed angry at someone?
When I was young, my brother sometimes made fun of me. So I didn't hold it against him too long.
Good. That's a perfect example. Awesome. Good job. Okay. And then what about you, Fabricio? Can you think of an example of hold it against someone? Do you tend to hold things against people, or do you tend to let it go?
No, I'm the kind of person that let the things go.
So you don't hold things against people.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Good. So we all understand what that means? If we see it in context, we'll be able to know what it means? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yep.
Perfect. Okay, good. So just to double check so far, can both of you see the chat box where I'm putting the definitions?
Yes,
Yeah.
I can.
Yep, perfect. Okay, good. Just making sure. Okay, so the next one we're going to do with the verb hold is hold down. So, Andre, could you read hold down?
Let's practice hold down. Brett has always struggled with addiction. He has never been able to hold down a job for more than a month or two. Note, usually used seen with jobs.
Okay, so based on the context of this, what do you think it means to hold something down?
Like to continue working for one company for a long time.
Mm-hmm. Good, exactly, right? So to be able to continue doing something, right? To keep doing one thing, right? To hold it down. If you can hold down a gig, it means that you've been doing it for a while and that you're able to keep doing it. Exactly. Good. So Fabricio, can you think of an example for hold down? Do you know anybody that has a really hard time holding down a job?
Well, I have kind of a cycle. When I got a job, then after 2 years, for some reason, I quitted my job.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but that happens to me since I started working. So
Okay.
I've been having some problems holding my jobs down.
Holding down a job. Oh yeah, holding down a job. Cool. Good. Perfect example. Yeah. So it's generally seen with jobs and other things related to jobs, but you might see it somewhere else. But just to hold something down means to like really to have it good. To like you're doing a good job and you're going to stay there for a long time. To hold something down. So, any questions on that? Is that clear?
It's
Yes,
clear.
it is.
Clear? Perfect. Good. Okay. The next one with hold is going to be hold on. So Fabricio, could you read both examples for this one?
Okay, let's practice hold on. Hold on. I'm talking on the phone right now. I'll talk to you in a minute. Just wait.
Good. And the next one?
I'll help you with your homework after I finish making dinner. Just hold on a few minutes, okay?
Good. Okay. So based on those two examples, what does it mean to hold on?
To wait.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. To wait briefly. So you also might see hang on or hold on are essentially synonymous. So I've got in the chat box, hold on or hang on, to wait briefly or to wait a minute. Exactly, good. So Andre, could you think of an example with hold on?
I usually say to my friends or somebody to hold on when I am busy.
Mm-hmm. Good, exactly. So this phrasal verb quite literally, right, means to hold something, right, to hold on. So you could also see it in a different context. If someone is falling, I don't know, off a mountain or something, and you say hold on, it means to literally hold on to something, right? But this is you're gonna see this in the more abstract sense. It means to wait, right? To just stop where you are and wait a minute. Good. Okay. Okay, so the next one we're going to look at is hold out, or we'll commonly see hold out for. So there's a lot of examples here. So Andre, could you read the first one?
The striking workers are holding out for higher wages. They refuse to return to work until their demands are met.
Good. And then Fabrizio, could you read the second one?
Sure. The baseball star is refusing to sign a contract with his team. He's holding out for more money.
Good. And then Andre, could you read the last one?
I want to buy that new computer, but I think I will hold out until the price comes down a little.
Good. Okay. So, Andre, based on those examples, what do you think it means to hold out for something?
Like to hope.
To hope? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
What about you, Fabrizio? What do you think it means to hold out for something?
To wait until something better comes.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So to wait. Yeah. So the definition I've got for this one is kind of long. So it means to continue resisting or waiting for something, or to refuse to reach an agreement with someone for a long amount of time. So this usually happens when waiting more could benefit you, right? So this is only going to be seen in situations where if you wait longer, you might get a better deal, or you might reach an agreement that is more beneficial to you. People hold out for things if they're like waiting and hoping for something better, and it's sort of a strategy in order to get that, right? So it means waiting and hoping, but in a really specific situation, right? So if I'm in a contract agreement, I'm gonna like hold out for a cheaper rent or something. You know, I'm just gonna wait and see if the landlord will lower it a little bit. It's situations where you're in an agreement or there's some sort of negotiation going on, and to hold out for something is to wait for things to be better for you. So does that make sense?
Like
Yeah.
hoping and waiting for a better or for a change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but only in situations where you're going to holding up for a hero. Good. Only in situations where you're going to be like making an agreement, usually. And so Fabrizio just sent us the lyrics.
Yes, there's a song. There's a famous
Uh-huh.
song. I think that it was played in one of the Shrek movies.
Yeah?
Yeah, when it takes to an action scene, then they are waiting for a hero to help them. Yeah.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, I'm holding out for a hero, right? So it's waiting for a hero. So like I said, so it can be hoping, or if you're talking about agreements, right? So the examples that I had were more about like contractual agreements. Here, like for more money, better wages, or a better deal if you're talking about buying something. Perfect. Good. So, Andre, could you think of an example? Have you ever had to hold out for something? Are you currently holding out for anything?
I'm holding out for a raise in my salary.
Uh-huh. Good. What about you, Fabrizio? Can you think of an example? Have you
Yes.
ever held out for something?
Yes, I've applied to 2 jobs abroad, one in the United States and one in Cambridge, but I'm holding out for the one in Cambridge because I think it may get something better.
Good.
So,
Good. So yeah, so there's one little particularity of holdout that so it's not just hoping or waiting, it's hoping or waiting and not doing anything or not responding to other offers.
okay.
So that's a good example. So for example, if you heard from the US but still hadn't heard for Cambridge, that would be a perfect example to say, oh, I'm really holding out for Cambridge. Like I'm not going to respond to the US yet because I'm holding out for Cambridge, right?
Okay.
So for example, so in the song, right, like holding out for a hero, she's not going to like date or see any other men because she's waiting for a hero, right?
Okay.
So it's hoping, but also not doing something else in order to wait.
Awesome.
Okay, so clear on that one. We can move on. So that's the hold out for. So I have for in parentheses because the phrasal verb is just hold out, but for is going to be when you say why. So I have that in parentheses in the definition. You use for when you want to say why someone is holding out. So like holding out for a hero, for a better salary. But sometimes you'll just see it as hold out. Okay, so that's hold out. We've got our last one with hold, and then we're going to do a quiz to see if you guys have really learned these different ones. So this one is hold up. So Fabricio, could you read the first example, please?
Sure. Let's practice hold up. The criminal was sent to jail for 10 years for holding up the convenience store. Some think it was a sentence that was a little too extreme.
Good. And then, Andre, could you read the second one?
I was held up at gunpoint last night. It was the most terrifying experience of my life. Now I'm completely
traumatized,
and will never go out alone at night.
Good. Do you know what it means to be traumatized?
No, a new word for me.
Yeah. So it comes from the base word trauma. Have you heard of trauma?
Yeah.
Yep.
Fabricio, how would you explain trauma? What is trauma?
Trauma is something happening, an event that is very shocking for you, so you can't recover from it well. So it follows you the whole life. Yeah.
Exactly. So someone who experiences trauma is traumatized. So if I say something really traumatized me, it means that it gave me trauma, that I experienced trauma from something. Traumatized. So there's trauma, traumatized, or traumatic. If I say something was a really traumatic experience, it means this is basically the same thing, that it caused trauma. It was really upsetting to me, or really affected or shocked me in some way. So I was really traumatized. So now that we know what traumatized means, Andre, what do you think it means to hold up based on these examples?
Like put your arms up and so somebody force you to do something or to give money.
Exactly. So perfect. So I'm glad you mentioned that, because that's actually where it comes from, right? So when you say like hold up, like to hold up your hands, right, means that you're at a disadvantage if somebody has a weapon or doing something to take your money, take advantage of you in some way. But the phrase has come to mean, like rob or do something against your will. So if you're held up, it means that you are somehow unable to respond, unable to do things for any number of reasons. If someone has a gun, like a weapon or a knife or something, if you're held up, it means that things were taken from you against your will and you couldn't do anything about it because there was like a weapon or some reason that you couldn't. That makes sense? So for example, if it's used synonymously with like to rob. So if you say that the gas station was robbed last night, they say, yeah, someone held up the gas station last night to hold people up, usually with arms, weapons of some sort. Yeah, so Fabricio, have you ever been held up? Have you ever seen someone be held up?
There was a time I was at the bus stop and I was held up.
Really? That's so scary.
Yeah, there was
sorry.
There was a guy crossing the street and I think he was high. So he tried to rob me. But I could get away because
you got away?
The bus,
good.
Yes, the bus just came, so I get on the bus and go.
Lucky. You were lucky. Did he have a weapon?
I don't know. He was pretending that he had something from his pocket. He was doing something with his hand, trying to fake that he was having something, but I'm not so sure about it because he did show it to me.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I put the definition in the chat box. So we've got hold up or stick up. So like for hold on and hang on, some of these phrasal verbs have other phrasal verbs that mean really similar things. So hold up or stick up are going to be synonymous. Andre, did the bus run over him? No. So to hold up or to stick up someone is, I've got the definition here, to steal money from a person, business, or bank, usually with a weapon. So you usually hold things or people, businesses up with like a gun, a knife, a weapon. So what about you, Andre? Have you ever been witness to someone being held up? Have you read in the news stories about people holding up a bank or a gas station? Can you think of an example of how to use it?
Fortunately, I have not had this experience.
That's good. I'm glad. It sounds traumatic, right? It sounds like not a good experience. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So that concludes the verbs that we learned with the phrasal verbs with hold. So before we move on to pull, I'm going to have a little quiz for us to see if we remember the difference between the different phrasal verbs with the base verb hold. So I've got, let's see, I've got five sentences, and they all have a blank, and they're all going to be filled in by one of the ones we went over. So we went over hold against someone, to hold something down, to hold on or hang on, to hold out for something, and to hold up. So let's take a look and see if you guys can figure out which one goes where. So let's see. Fabricio, could you read number 1?
Okay. But I have to zoom a bit. Thank you. Okay. I don't think I'm going to renew my contract with the company yet. I think I deserve more money. I know it's a bit risky holding out for money, but it's a risk I'm willing to take.
Good. Holding out for more money. Perfect. Good job. Okay. And number 2, Andre, could you read?
But we are going to go to the beach now, David. I just have to write 2 more sentences in this paper. If you guys can hold on for 2 minutes, I will go with you.
Perfect. Awesome. Good job. Hold on. Just to wait for a little bit. Good. Okay. Number 3, Fabricio.
What will you do if you lose your job? Do you have anything to fall back on? No, I don't have a college degree, and I don't have much work experience. I don't know what I'll do. Maybe I'll hold up a convenience store. That's not funny.
Okay, so fall back on, just really quickly, is one of the phrasal verbs that we went over in one of my other classes. So do either of you know what it means to fall back on something? Fabricio, any ideas?
Yeah, if you have something to rely on, I mean, that give you some backup.
Exactly, a backup plan, right? So if you lose your job, anything to fall back on, right? Like something else you could do, other skills you have, a backup plan. Good. And not a backup plan that's different from holding up a convenience store. Good, okay. Hold up. Oh, we've got 6, just kidding. Okay. And number 4, could you read that, Andre?
Last week, I made a stupid joke about Clara's weight. When she was talking to the guy she likes, she is still mad at me. I don't think she will ever forgive me. She is going to hold that against me for the rest of my life.
Good, perfect. I don't have to stay mad at someone, but hold it against him. Good. Perfect. Okay. Number 5, Fabricio?
My mom said that if I can't prove that I'm responsible enough to hold down a job for 1 year, she'll buy me a car.
Perfect, good. Hold down a job. If you're able to hold down a job for a year, right, to keep at it, to continue doing something. Good. Perfect, okay. And then number 6, Andre?
Everyone else in the class has agreed to pay $5 to go on the field trip, but Beth still hasn't agreed. She is she?
Why? Yeah, why is she? Any ideas?
Mm,
No? Stumped?
holding on.
Holding on? Maybe? What about you, Fabrizio? What do you think? What could this one be? Everyone else in the class has agreed to pay $5 to go on the field trip, but Beth still hasn't agreed. Why is she?
Holding out.
Holding out. So this one is a little tricky, right? So remember, we talked about holding out as being to hope or wait for something, but also when we're talking about agreements, right? It means to not act or to not do something, right, in hopes of maybe it being different, right? So everyone else has already agreed to pay the $5, but Beth, for some reason, right, is holding out, right, not acting, not doing it, not paying for some reason. Is that clear, Andre?
In this sentence, it seems strange a bit. I don't know. Maybe this phrasal verb is a tricky one for me.
Yes, so that's why, so when we talked about it, I tried to be really specific because there are a few meanings, right? So it can be to wait in hopes, but if we read, I'll copy and paste the definition again. It also just means to continue resisting or waiting for something. So if she hasn't agreed yet, and she still is not going to agree, she's holding out. Like, we don't know why, but for some reason she's holding out. She still hasn't agreed. It's been a week, right? Everyone else has agreed. Why is she holding out? It means to continue not doing something, to continue resisting when it comes to, like, agreements. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So we've got, sorry?
I hope it will.
So here, so we talked a lot about using hold out to talk about hopes, right? Things you want to do. So let's think of some more examples in this situation when it means to continue resisting. So Fabrizio, can you think of an example of hold out that means more to continue resisting instead of hoping for something? I'm going to pull up the examples I gave. Here we go. Let's just read these through one more time. I'll read the first one. So the striking workers are holding out for higher wages. They refuse to return to work until their demands are met. So they're holding out. So they're continuing to resist, right? They're refusing to work. Refusing to work. So they're holding out. They're not doing anything until what they want happens. So they're holding out. And then, Andre, could you read the second example?
The baseball star is refusing to sign a contract with his team. He is holding out for more money.
Good. So he's refusing to sign a contract, right? He's refusing to do something. So he's resisting in some way, right? So I wanted to pull up these examples, right, because they have the word refuse. So to hold out can mean hope in one sense, but it also means to not do something. So if I say, like, I'm not going to buy that blender, I'm going to hold out until next month when I get my paycheck. Does that make sense? So, like, I'm going to wait. I'm not going to do anything until I have more money, so I'm going to hold out.
So I have a friend, it is her. Her boyfriend asked her to marry her a lot of times, but she is still holding out.
That's perfect. That's an awesome example. Yeah, so it's because it connotes non-action, right? So it's not doing something, like waiting, refusing to give an answer. Yeah, so if someone keeps asking you something and you're holding out, it means that you're not going to respond. Perfect.
Okay, I got you.
Good, awesome. Okay. And so any questions at all with any of the phrasal verbs with hold before we move on to pull?
They are the clear for me.
Just Andre. All good?
They are clear for me.
Perfect. And you, Fabrizio? All good?
I'm okay. Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome. Okay, so that was hold. Those were 5 ones that we saw with hold. Now we're going to look at some with pull. So, Fabricio, could you read the first example for this one? This is pull ahead.
Let's practice pull ahead. The two drivers were very close to each other for most of the race, and it wasn't until the very end that one of them pulled ahead and won.
Pulled ahead and won. Good. And could you read the second example?
Me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay. Janice and I were always the top 2 students in class, until one week she pulled ahead of me and got 2 A's, and I got a B+ and a C-.
Good. Okay, so based on the context of these 2 examples, what do you think it means to pull ahead? To pull ahead of someone or to pull ahead? Any ideas?
To outstand,
Oops, sorry.
to get better, to be better than someone else. I mean,
Uh-huh.
there was a time that they all were in the same place, but for some reason, some of them
Exactly. So to move in the lead, to get ahead of someone else. So this is usually going to be used in context of like a race or a contest or a test of some sort. Right, so I've got in the side, pull ahead. Oh, here, let me divide these. So that was hold. Pull ahead is to move in the lead, to move ahead of other people in a race or a contest. So, Andre, have you ever pulled ahead of someone in a race or a contest, or has someone ever pulled ahead of you?
I used to play football a lot, soccer, and I managed to pull ahead a lot of times. And
Awesome.
score a goal.
Good. Yeah, so that's perfect. So it just important to mention that it usually means that at one point, right, you were on the same level as someone, and then you pulled ahead, right? So like at the last minute, you did a little bit better. Good. What about you, Fabricio? Can you think of an example with pull ahead? Have you ever pulled ahead in a contest or a competition of some sort?
Well,
or just an example of anyone.
I play volleyball every week, and last year we didn't win a match, but this year the matches started to be, more, how do you say, parejo, stable. I don't know, the score was kind of stable or something like that.
So you pulled ahead, right?
Yes, and in the last 3 matches, we pulled ahead and won all of them.
Perfect, awesome, great example. Yeah, so it connotes not just being ahead of someone, but the progress, right, going ahead. So at one point being equal or lesser, and then succeeding and being ahead. Perfect, good examples, you guys. Okay, so that's pull ahead, to pull ahead. The next one we've got with pull is to pull for. So to pull for someone or something. So Andre, could you read the first example?
Most people were pulling for New Orleans to win the Super Bowl because they were the underdogs. The other team didn't have nearly as much support.
Okay, so do you know what it means to be an underdog?
No.
No? What about you, Fabricio? Yeah? What does it mean to be an underdog?
A loser.
Okay, not necessarily. It means, so to be an underdog is to sort of be an unexpected winner. So if you say like, oh, they were the underdogs and they won, means that they weren't, that people didn't expect them to win, right? So for example, if there's 2 teams playing against each other, and one has like championships, has a really impressive record of having won different things, then they're going to be the assumed winners, right, who everyone thinks is going to win. And the other team are going to be the underdogs, right, who everyone wants to win because they don't have as much prestige or history as the other team. They're the underdogs. So based on knowing that and the context of this paragraph, Andre, what would you say it means to pull for?
who is going to read the second example?
Oh no, just on the first. Any ideas what it means, just based on the first?
Let me think a second.
If you want here, you can just, let's read the second one. Even though?
Me?
Yeah, Andre.
Okay. Even though I don't really care about the Winter Olympics, I am pulling for Canada to beat the US in the hockey championship because I am Canadian.
Good. So based on these two examples, what does it mean to pull for? To pull for a country, to pull for a team?
Like to be a fan. So a person who is pulling for someone, he is hoping for the person to or a team to win.
Exactly. So to support, to hope they win. Yeah, so I got, so to pull for, to support or cheer for a person or a team. So you mentioned you play soccer, right? So do you have a certain team that you always pull for?
No, I didn't. I pulled for myself and my team.
Okay. What about you, Fabricio? So you're from Argentina, right? So do you follow soccer? Do you pull for River or do you pull for Boca? Do you have
I pull for Boca.
For Boca?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Awesome. So yeah, so to pull for someone or something, to support them, to cheer them on, to really pull for them. Any questions on that?
What is Fabricio pulling for?
For Boca
For
Juniors.
Boca. So in Argentina, there's a rivalry between different football or soccer teams. So there's like River Plate, which is one team, and there's Boca, which is another team, and it's sort of a famous rivalry between what team you want. Yeah, so I live in Buenos Aires, so I live in Argentina too. So I knew that he would know the difference between the two teams. That's why I asked him.
Okay.
Okay, good. So any questions on the meaning of pull for?
No.
Andre, no good? Fabricio, Andre, any questions?
I'm fine. I understood.
Good, okay. So the next one we've got for pull is to pull off, to pull something off. So, Fabricio, could you read the two examples for this?
Let's practice pull off. I couldn't believe it. New Orleans pulled off the upset and won the Super Bowl. Everyone was surprised and delighted that they were so successful.
Okay.
Shall I read the second one?
Yes, please.
Okay. Even though Canada was favored to beat the US, they weren't able to pull it off and lost 2-1.
Okay, so based on these two examples, what does it mean to pull something off? What do you think?
To succeed.
To succeed, to be successful, to accomplish something. So here the definition I've got is to pull something off, to accomplish something difficult, right? So a lot of times you'll see it with it, right, or with something in between, pull and off. So it can also be used in terms of like wearing or doing something well. It just connotes success, right, that you succeeded in what you wanted to do. So sometimes you'll hear people say like how does this hat look on me? Do you think I can pull it off? Like, do you think I can wear it without looking silly or funny? Like, can I pull it off? Like, can I wear it successfully and have people not make fun of me? It's sometimes used. So it just means to do something and succeed. So you can pull off a game, you can pull off a report. So if I say, oh, I was up late last night, I wrote 5 pages in the course of a half an hour. But it's fine because I just got my paper back and I really pulled it off. Like I got an A. All right, so just to succeed in anything. So Andre, can you think of an example? Have you ever really pulled something off that you were really proud of?
I pulled off a project. It was successful. A software which I created.
Awesome. So you really pulled it off. You really did a good job.
Yep.
And what about you, Fabricio? Have you ever really pulled something off that you were proud of?
Yes, last year I pulled it off my English exam.
So you pulled off my English exam.
I pulled off my English exam. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it is only used when you've already referred to what you're talking about, right? So if you said, like, last year I had an English exam, I really pulled it off. Or last year I really pulled off my English exam. I did it well.
Okay,
Okay.
so I should reference the object
Mm-hmm.
before.
And if you don't, then you need to put it in the phrase, yeah. So you can only use it if you've already mentioned it.
Okay.
Okay. Any questions on that? Fabricio, clear? To pull something off? To do something well, successfully? Any questions? Fabricio? No?
No,
Andre?
I was on mute.
Okay. Okay. Andre, clear? Questions?
Oh, no question. No
Perfect.
questions.
Okay, so that was pull off. So now we're going to talk about pull up or pull forward. I have these grouped as the same because they both talk about a really specific situation. So Andre, could you read that first example?
You are not in the parking space yet. You need to pull up a little more. Then we can get out of the car.
Yeah. And Fabricio, could you read the second example?
If you don't want to go inside the restaurant, you can just pull up to the drive-through window.
Good. Okay. Andre, based on these two examples, what do you think it means to pull up?
Like to move.
Mm-hmm. To move, yeah. So that's why I have pull up or pull forward. So because these are both really specifically used with cars, so I'm going to group them all together also as pull over. So here. So pull up or forward is if you're in a car and you want to go to like a drive-through window or in a parking space. Pull up is to drive your car kind of slowly forward. If you're stopping somewhere, going to a parking lot, letting someone out, but it's usually going to be used with cars. And so I've got one more that I don't think I have in my slide. So have you guys ever heard pull over? So these are all terms that have to do with cars.
Yes.
So what does it mean to pull over?
To go to the side of the road and just stay there.
Exactly.
Most of the time I heard about it when there is a police chasing.
Exactly. So I just put that in the chat. So pull over is to drive your car to the side of the road and stop, for example, when a police officer turns his lights on. Exactly. So these three terms I've kind of grouped together because they're really specific to cars. So you're not really going to hear it outside of any situation that you're not inside a car or moving inside a car. So Andre, is that clear? The three different ones? Can you think of an example? Do you own a car? Have you ever had to pull over your car?
I have a car, and sometimes I ask my wife to look whether I could pull up a bit more.
Exactly. It's perfect. Yeah. So pull forward, pull up. Those are things that if you don't know that you can fit into a parking space, sometimes people can get out and say, oh, pull up a little bit more. Oh, pull forward. Exactly. But yeah, so I put those all three together because they all generally talk about cars. So you're not really going to use pull up or pull forward when you're talking about people, usually just when you're in a car. So Fabricio, can you think of an example of pull up, pull forward, or pull over?
After being chased for 2 hours, the robber had to pull over his car and was sent to jail.
Perfect. Good example. Okay, awesome. Okay, any questions, Fabricio, on those three terms?
No.
No. Good. And Andre?
No.
No. All clear. Good. Okay. So the last one for pull is pull yourself together. So, Andre, could you read this example?
I know you are sad, about breaking up with your boyfriend, but it's really been several weeks.
Already been several weeks. Okay.
It's already been several weeks. You need to pull yourself together and get on with your life. There are plenty of other
eligible
bachelors out there.
Eligible bachelors.
Eligible bachelors.
Eligible bachelors out there. Good. So based on this paragraph, what do you think it means to pull yourself together?
Like, I like get it together and keep on living. Like usually people after they break up, they will have depression and they won't look after themselves for a while, and then they have to pull themselves together.
Perfect. Good example and definition. Yeah, so to pull yourself together sort of means like to calm down or to kind of become more aware and become better if you're upset or crying. Yeah, so here, I've got for this definition, to pull yourself together is to calm down and stop panicking, or to stop freaking out, stop worrying. You need to say this if someone is crying or yelling or very scared, some sort of big extreme reaction. You tell someone to stop reacting like that. You say, pull yourself together, right? Come back, be reasonable, be logical. Exactly. So Fabricio, can you think of an example of pull yourself together? Have you ever had to tell someone to pull themselves together? Fabricio?
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time.
The only example that comes to my mind is when, for example, my daughter has an argument with my father, then she starts crying, and I said to her, well, just put yourself together and take your point, pick up your mind, because you have to be brave to confront him maybe a little bit more.
Exactly, good. Yeah, so that's why, so it's not just, it's the calm down, it's also to sort of regain ability to reason, right? So if someone is acting like hysterical, a response to some sort of hysteric reaction is to say, pull yourself together, right? Formulate an argument instead of just yelling or crying, right? So it kind of connotes like a return to reason, right? If someone is acting hysterical or reacting in some sort of inappropriate or extreme way to something. So I'm going to put return to reason, logic. From a place of hysteria, of intense emotion, something like that. Okay. Andre, could you think of one more example? Have you ever had to pull yourself together? Have you ever completely lost it and had to just kind of stop, take a breath, and pull yourself together?
I have an example, but I don't know if it works.
Sure, of course. Let's try.
Every morning I have to pull myself together and start working.
No, that's an awesome example. It's true. I think we all have to do that. Yeah, so it kind of means like get your things in order, right? Start thinking straight. Right, so if you wake up and you're really tired, so for example, I could say like, yesterday I woke up and I just didn't want to get out of bed, so I made myself a cup of coffee and I had to just pull myself together and start working. Right, and I had to sort of get everything in order, stop feeling however I felt before, and do what I had to do. Right? Yeah, so good. So it's a really good example. Awesome. Yeah. So Andre, any questions about that one at all?
No question.
No? Good. And what about you, Fabricio? Clear?
Yeah, it is.
Good. Okay, so that concludes the verb pull. So now we're going to do a little quiz like we did for hold. But before we do that, I'm going to quickly just read through the ones we've gone over for pull. So we've got pull ahead, pull for someone or something, pull off, pull it off, or pull something off, pull over, pull forward, pull up, which are kind of all in one category, and pull yourself together. So those are the phrasal verbs we've gone over with pull. Now we're going to see them in context and try to guess which phrasal verb with pull goes in the blank. So just like we did for hold, so let's take a look. Okay, so let's see. There are going to be 6 of them. So Andre, could you read number 1?
Can you zoom it in a bit?
Here, 1 second. Yeah, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Good?
That's better.
Okay.
Okay. Patrick, at a fast food restaurant, I'd like 2 hamburgers, medium fries, and a small small cola.
Cola.
Clerk. That's 2 hamburgers, medium fries, and a small cola. Your total is 2.59.
259. Yeah, just 259.
259. Please.
So he's at a fast food restaurant, right? The next window. So
Pull ahead.
Pull ahead. So is this a contest or a competition?
Oh, no.
So to the next window. So do you think, is he standing in the restaurant or is he in a car?
I think it is pull up.
Good. Pull up to the next window because he's in a car, right? He's at the fast food ordering window of a fast food restaurant, and then in the next window he's going to pay, so he has to pull up to the next window. So we're assuming he's in a car.
Yes, I for the first time I didn't think it is about a restaurant like this. Like when you drive to there, we don't have such restaurants, so.
Okay, yeah, drive through restaurant. Okay, no worries. Good job, yeah. Pull up to the next window. Okay, Fabricio, could you read number 2?
Sure. Wendy, good luck at the tennis tournament this afternoon. We'll all be in the stands cheering and pulling for you to win.
Good, perfect. Pulling for, right? To support someone, to cheer for someone. Exactly. We'll all be in the stands cheering and pulling for you to win. Do you know what it means to be in the stands, Fabricio?
Yeah.
What are the stands?
The places where how do you call them? The fans. They are all stand up. I mean, they're.
Yeah, exactly. The seats that are kind of raised.
They could take a seat, but most of the time they are.
Exactly, right, where you can watch a game, where you go and sit down or stand up to watch a game. Good. Okay. Number 3. Andre?
Evan, you should slow down, Todd. There are a lot of police on the road. You don't want to get pulled over.
Good. Pulled over. Pulled over by the police for going too fast. Exactly. You should slow down. You don't want to get pulled over. Perfect. Okay. Number 4. Fabricio?
Russia and Canada were tied in the Winter Olympics medal count with 20 medals each. However, after winning the skiing event, Russia pulled ahead and now has 21.
Exactly. Good. Pulled ahead. Good, right? So as we talked about before, it's a situation where they were really close, right? They both had 20 each, and then Russia pulled ahead and now has more. We're talking about a contest or a competition. Good. Perfect. Good job. Okay. And then number 5. Andre, could you read?
The Lakers were down by 20 points at the beginning of their 4th quarter, yet they still managed to pull off a victory thanks to Kobe Bryant, who scored 16 points in just 3 minutes.
Good. Kobe Bryant has to be managed to pull off a victory. Good, right? So to accomplish something very difficult, right? So pull it off. Good. Awesome. Okay. And the last one, number 6, Fabricio, could you read?
Bill. Oh, there's a fire. Oh no, whoa. Jane. Hey, you've got to pull yourself together. If we panic, we'll never get out of here. Quick, follow me out the fire escape.
Good, right? Pull yourself together, right? Responding to a situation of panic or hysteria, right? You've got to pull yourself together. If we panic, we'll never get out of here. Good. Awesome. Okay. Awesome job, you guys got all of them right. So, any questions from any of you so far in class? Before we end, I'm going to quickly go over all of the ones we've, just as a reminder, go through the ones we've done so far. But before I do that, any questions, doubts about anything at all? Fabricio, how are you doing? All good?
I'm good. Yeah.
All good? Great. And Andre?
No question.
Awesome. Great. Okay, this has been such a good class. I'm just going to go quickly, go through the examples, just read through the phrasal verbs. Okay, so really quickly, we've got, so the ones we saw today, so we saw 10. We saw hold and pull. So as a quick refresher, we saw hold against, hold down, hold on, hold out or hold out for, and hold up. And then with pull, we saw pull ahead, pull for, pull off, pull up, pull forward, pull over, and pull yourself together. Okay. So I wanted to say thank you so much to both of you for coming to class. I hope you learned some new phrases and some new phrasal verbs, and hopefully if you see them in any sort of English speaking or reading, writing situation, you'll know exactly what they mean. Thank you again for coming to class. If you guys could, if you have time, I would love it if you could give me some feedback on my Linguistiko page in any sense. So you can tell me things that I did well, things that I did badly. If you have any suggestions or ideas for future classes, if there's something that you really want me to focus on, I would love to listen to your ideas and give a class that's on what you guys want to talk about, what you guys want to learn. So if you go to my profile on the Linguistiko page, you can add a comment. So any comments at all, suggestions, things I did badly, anything at all, I welcome feedback. And my next class is going to be today in 2 hours, and it's about current events. So we're going to read some articles from the news, maybe watch a video or two, and discuss things that are currently happening all over the world. So if there's a big story in Argentina, or a big story in Iraq, something happening in the US, you can talk about some current events. So that's my next class. And I hope to see you both in another Linguistiko class in the future. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was an interesting class.
Good. I hope you learned a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
So bye-bye. And I hope to see you both again. Bye-bye.